Vladimir Putin extend his rule in Russia. EU pledges 7.4 billion euros for Egypt. Good afternoon and Salam Malaysia Madani. This is World Today. I'm SAHIH. Russian President Vladimir Putin won a record post-Soviet landslide in Russia's election on Sunday, cementing his already tight grip on power and a victory he said showed Moscow had been right to stand up to the West. The chair of the Central Election Commission in Moscow said Putin won about 88% of the vote, a record victory in a presidential election where he faced no genuine competition.
Я хочу прежде всего поблагодарить граждан России. Мы все одна команда. Всех граждан России, которые пришли на избирательные участки и проголосовали. И от голоса каждого гражданина России, из голосов каждого гражданина России составляется единая воля народов Российской Федерации. Это важнейшая опора существования страны, ее уверенного развития в сфере обороноспособности, в сфере науки, образования, по всем другим важнейшим направлениям.
Putin, a former KGB lieutenant colonel who first rose to power in 1999, made it clear that the result should send a message to the West that its leaders will have to reckon with an emboldened Russia, whether in war or in peace, for many years to come. That outcome means Putin, 71, is set to embark on a new 6-year term that will see him overtake Joseph Stalin and becomes Russia's longest-serving leader for more than 200 years if he completes it. Meanwhile, at least 6 people were wounded in a Russian missile attack on the Black Sea port city of Mykolaiv on Sunday after an overnight strike on the port of Odessa. The ministry said, as a result of the attack, houses, vehicles and infrastructure were damaged.
Значить, а через минут, може 10, ми тільки встигли з дому вибігти, в нас там в дворі є підвал. І ми з сусідами, в мене ще сусіди є, заскочили в підвал, і оце бахнуло другий раз. Повилітали вікна, побили в шифер, попадали потолки. У мене люстра вдрузги розлетілася на кухні. Ну все, зразу і світ вирубився, і все. Доця, що?
Separately, the Ukrainian military said Russian air attacks had damaged agricultural enterprises and destroyed several industrial buildings in Odessa. Mykolaiv's regional governor, Vitaly Kim, said on Telegram that there had been 2 strikes on Mykolaiv coming from the same direction as the strike on Odessa. Moscow has accused Kiev of election sabotage with days of strikes on Russian infrastructure, one of the most sweeping air operations on Russian territory since President Vladimir Putin ordered the invasion of Ukraine 2 years ago. At least 61 Palestinians were killed in overnight Israeli bombardment as Israel was preparing to send negotiators to new truce talks in Qatar. Shelling and clashes were reported in South Gaza's main city of Khan Yunis and elsewhere. The territory's health ministry said 12 members of the same family, whose house in Deir al-Balah was hit, were among those killed overnight. An Israeli siege has led to dire humanitarian conditions in the Gaza Strip, where the United Nations has repeatedly warned of looming famine for the coastal territory's residents. As the flow of aid trucks into Gaza has slowed, Cypriot officials said a second ship was due to depart from Cyprus along a new maritime corridor to bring food and relief goods. The United Nations has reported particular difficulty in accessing North Gaza, where residents say they have resorted to eating animal fodder and where some have stormed the few aid trucks that have made it through. On a related note, German Chancellor Olaf Scholz has called for a deal to free hostages held in war-ravaged Gaza, accompanied by a longer-lasting ceasefire as warring parties gear up for more talks.
The longer the war lasts, the higher the number of civilian casualties rises, the more desperate the situation of the people in Gaza become, the more this begs the question, no matter how important the goal, can it justify such terribly high costs? Or are there other ways to achieve your goal?
Scholl also called for a negotiated two-state solution to the Israel-Hamas conflict. He said the military logic is one consideration, but there is a humanitarian logic as well, with more than 1.5 million people have no place to go and need to be protected. He stressed that there is a need to provide the people in Gaza with comprehensive humanitarian aid supplies, as they should not stand by and watch Palestinian re-starvation. Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu is under intense domestic political pressure to free hostages seized during Hamas' 7 October attack on southern Israel. Israel's military campaign to eliminate Hamas has killed at least 31,645 people, mostly women and children. Here, Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu said that Israeli troops would pursue a planned ground offensive in southern Gaza's Rafah that has spurred fears of mass civilian casualties. He said no amount of international pressure will stop Israel from realizing all the goals of the war. His comments came as talks were expected to resume in Doha towards a truce in Gaza, where Israel has pursued a campaign against Hamas for more than 5 months. Netanyahu's office said he had approved the military's plan for an operation in Rafah, though no timeline was given. US President Joe Biden, who has backed Israel during the war, has said an invasion of Rafah would be a red line unless credible civilian protection plans are in place. The head of the UN's World Health Organization, Tedros Adhanom Ghebreyesus, also appealed to Israel in the name of humanity not to launch the assault. Most of Gaza's 2.4 million people have sought refuge from relentless Israel bombardment in the southern city. Rafah is the last major population center in Gaza yet to be subjected to a ground assault in the war since 7 October. North Korea fired a ballistic missile today as US Secretary of State Antony Blinken visited South Korea to meet top officials and attend a democracy summit. Blinken is in Seoul for the third Summit for Democracy, an initiative of the US President Joe Biden, which the South is hosting this week, and is set to meet his Korean counterpart on the sidelines for talks. Key security allies Washington and Seoul wrap up one of their major annual joint military training exercises last week, prompting angry retorts and tit-for-tat drills from nuclear-armed Pyongyang. Joint Chiefs of Staff have said North Korea fired an unspecified ballistic missile towards the East Sea. Japan also confirmed the launch, with the Japan Coast Guard saying the objects appeared to have already fallen. The launch comes just days after the annual Freedom Shield, which this year involved double the number of troops, ended on Thursday. The 11 days of joint exercises were aimed at strengthening South Korean and American deterrence against the North's nuclear and missile threats. Pyongyang this month warned that Seoul and Washington would pay a dear price of the Freedom Shield drills, and later announced that North Korean leader Kim Jong-un had guided an artillery unit it says was capable of striking the South Korean capital. Still ahead, Haiti situation nears chaos on Mad Max. The European Union and Egypt signed a €7.4 billion financial package to support the indebted North African country, boost energy sales to Europe, and stem irregular migrant flows. European Commission President Ursula von der Leyen was joined in Cairo by the leaders of Austria, Belgium, Cyprus, Greece, and Italy for the signing ceremony with Egyptian President Abdel Fattah al-Sisi. The strategic partnership deal includes billions in credit over coming years, stepping up gas and other energy flows to help Europe move further away from Russian gas.
And today marks a historic milestone, with the signature of our joint declaration for a strategic and comprehensive partnership.
The EU and Egypt agreed on a package ranging from trade and investment to low-carbon energy, managing migration, education, culture and youth. The agreement includes €5 billion in loans over 4 years, €1.8 billion in investment, and hundreds of millions for bilateral projects, including on migration. It also covers the steps to cooperate on security, counter-terrorism cooperation, and protection of borders, in particular the southern one with Sudan. The agreement follows several controversial deals the EU has sealed with Libya, Tunisia, and Mauritania to stem the flow of irregular migrants across the Mediterranean Sea. The United Nations Children's Agency chief offered a dire assessment of the chaotic situation in Haiti, saying it was almost like a scene out of Mad Max, which depicted a violent and lawless post-apocalyptic future. UNICEF Executive Director Catherine Russell said Haiti is in a horrifying situation. She said many people there are suffering from serious hunger and malnutrition, and the agency is not able to get enough aid to them, with gangs controlling large parts of capital, Port-au-Prince, as well as key roads leading elsewhere. She added the situation is the worst that anyone has seen in decades, describing it similar to a scene out of a Mad Max, a 1979 film. Haiti has been convulsed for 2 weeks by a gang uprising as brutal and well-armed groups seek to topple Prime Minister Ariel Henry. Haiti, already hit by drought, natural disaster and weak government, has seen the near collapse of basic services. That has left millions vulnerable as they await the formation of a transitional governing council to take power after unpopular Henry resigned under pressure. The challenges facing foreign aid workers, some of whom have been attacked or kidnapped for ransom, were underlined when gangs looted a UNICEF shipment intended to provide relief for suffering mothers and children. Hundreds of farmers paraded through the Spanish capital on foot and by tractor in the latest protest over the crisis facing the agricultural sector. The farmers marched from the Ministry of Ecological Transition to the Ministry of Agriculture after the European Union proposed legislative changes to drastically ease the environmental rules of the Common Agricultural Policy on Friday. It was the fourth demonstration in Madrid since the start of the wider European farm protest movement in mid-January. Rallied by their trade union, farmers carried banners proclaiming that they are not delinquents to the sound of horns and whistles. One farmer decorated his tractor with a mock guillotine. EU Chief Ursula von der Leyen said Friday's concessions in Brussels aim to loosen compliance with some environmental rules. While the move was welcomed by Spain's left-wing government, some environmental NGOs criticized the measures. They said they are faced with a pile of bureaucratic rules that make them feel more like they are at an office than on a farm. Lava from a new volcanic fissure on an Icelandic peninsula, the fourth eruption to hit the area since December, steadily advanced, but the eruption's intensity had decreased. Icelandic police declared a state of emergency shortly after the eruption at 8:23 p.m. local time on Saturday evening. The Icelandic Met Office said that the response workers were monitoring the lava's advance, which has been slow and steady since Sunday morning. It said the lava was some 200 meters from the water distribution pipe coming from the nearby Savitsengi power plant. But during the night, the intensity of the eruption decreased and there are currently 3 active openings on the eruptive fissure. Local media reported that Iceland's famed Blue Lagoon geothermal spa had been evacuated, as well as the fishing town of Grindavik. The roughly 4,000 residents of Grindavik were only cleared to return to their homes on 19 February after having been evacuated on 11 November, though only around 100 chose to do so. The eruptions on the Reykjanes Peninsula have also raised fears for the Savitsengi power plant, which supplies electricity and water to around 30,000 people on the peninsula. The plant was evacuated and has been run remotely since the first eruption in the region. A total of 3,396 people affected by forest fires in southwest China's Sichuan province have been evacuated, with some of them temporarily staying with relatives and friends, while others have been sent to resettlement sites. The forest fire started around 5 p.m. local time on Friday near Baizi village in Yanjiang County of Garzi Tibetan Autonomous Prefecture. Sudden strong winds hit the first site at around 1:30 a.m. on Sunday, causing the fire to quickly spread over multiple mountain ridges in several directions, resulting in the formation of 3 main fire sites. Local authorities swiftly moved to evacuate the affected people to safe areas. Among them, 1,384 people voluntarily choose to lodge with their relatives or friends, while another 1,392 people were resettled separately. The other 620 people have been placed in 8 resettlement sites so far. All of the resettlement sites are accessible to power and lighting equipment. Local authorities have sent food such as bread and boxed meal to affected people, ensuring that they have warm meals and hot water with access to medical treatment. So far, no casualties have been reported and the cause of the fire is still under investigation. Rio has set a new thermal sensation record after a neighborhood on the west side, Guatariba, recorded 62.3 degrees Celsius on Sunday morning. Rio Operations Center COR said in a report that this is the highest thermal sensation recorded since the Rio Alert System began taking measurements in 2014. Residents flock to beaches and pools to try to ease the heat, while others said sometimes there is not enough water to drink or bathe amid the high temperatures. According to COR's report, thermal sensation is a heat index calculated from temperature and relative humidity data. The higher the temperature and relative humidity, the greater the sensation of heat in that region. Guaratiba is prone to high temperatures due to its proximity to the ocean and warm northerly winds that hit the area. Next up in sports, Honjian, Muhammad Haikal back first title of 2024 season. Starting off our sports segment this afternoon, national men's doubles pair Aaron Chia and So Woo Yik missed out on a chance to seal their maiden All-England title after going down to defending champions from Indonesia Fajar Alfian and Muhammad Rian Adrianto in Birmingham last night. In the final action held at the Utilita Arena, Birmingham, something was off for the 2022 World Champions from the beginning of the first game as the 5th seed trailed 1-6 before Fajar Muhammad Rian, seeded 7, closed it out 21-16. It was a tight contest in the second set as both pairs fought neck and tied at 10-all. A series of unforced errors proved costly for Aaron Woo Yik, which gave their opponents an edge and retained the title with a straight sets victory by the same scoreline of 21-16. The lost man, the All-England title remained elusive for the 2020 Olympic Games bronze medalist after the loss to the former 3-times world champions from Indonesia, Muhammad Hassan and Hendra Setiawan, 21-11, 14-21, 12-21 in the 2019 final. The last time a Malaysian men's double pair won the All-England title was in the 2007 edition through Koo Ken Kiat and Tan Boon Pyong, who defeated China's Kai Yun and Fu Haifeng 21-15, 21-18. To heal local fans' wounded heart, Malaysia's rising men's double pair, Chong Hong Jian and Muhammad Haikal Nazri secured their first title of the season at the Orleans Masters 2024 in France on Sunday. 4 seeds, Hon Jiang, Muhammad Haikal, aged past 6 seeded duo from Indonesia, Sabar Karyaman Butama, and Mohreza Pahlavi Isfani, 21-15, 18-21, 21-14 in 54 minutes during the final held in Palais des Sports Orleans. The current world number 40 paired walk away with the prize money of $16,590, while the Indonesian earned $7,980 as runner-up of the Super 300 tournament. The victory marked Hon Jiang, Muhammad Haikal's third World Tour title since they were paired last August. They had previously won back-to-back titles at the 2023 Syed Modi International Championship and the Masters Guwahati in India last December. On to football, Manchester United ended Liverpool's quest for a quadruple of trophies in Jurgen Klopp's final season after Amad Diallo's winners edged a thrilling FA Cup quarter-final 4-3 after extra time. The Ivorian winger, however, was sent off for a second booking after taking his shirt off in celebration at the end of a chaotic 120 minutes that kept United's chances of ending the season with silverware alive. 2 goals in 3 minutes from Alexis McAllister and Mohamed Salah towards the end of the first half had swung the game in Liverpool's favour after Scott McTominay opened the scoring. Anthony's first goal at Old Trafford for more than a year kept United alive to send the game into extra time. Liverpool edged in front once again when Harvey Elliott's deflected shot from the bottom corner. But Marcus Rashford, who had missed a glorious chance to win the tie deep into injury time, made amends by drilling home to make it 3-3. Diallo then scored just his second ever United goal in added time of extra time at the end of a breakneck counter-attack from a Liverpool corner led by the impressive Alejandro Garnacho. United trailed Liverpool by 17 points in the Premier League, and having made an early exit from both the Champions League and League Cup, the pressure was on Erik ten Hag if he is to remain in charge for a third season. In Ligue 1, Kylian Mbappe scored his second hat-trick this season as leaders Paris Saint-Germain won 6-2 at Montpellier, securing their first league win in 4 matches. The visitors took the lead in the 14th minute when Mbappe found Vitinha with a cross from the left after taking a short corner. The Portugal international evaded 2 defenders before curling the ball home right-footed from the edge of the box. Mbappe got on the score sheet 8 minutes later, playing a 1-2 with Randal Kolo Muani and finishing with his left foot from a difficult angle. But Montpellier struck back on the half-hour mark with Jordan Ferreira's cross from the left eventually falling to Arnaud Nordins inside the box, who headed it in from close range. The hosts equalised just before half-time when PSG keeper Gianluigi Donnarumma conceded a penalty after colliding with Tanguy Coulibaly inside the box. But parity was short-lived as Mbappe struck again 5 minutes into the second half with a shot from outside the box hitting the woodwork before finding the net. PSG extended their lead in the 53rd minute when Lee Kang netted his second league goal for the club with a left-footed finish from the outside the box as Muani got his second assist of the match. Mbappe completed his hat-trick 10 minutes later from Vitinha's lofted through ball. Nuno Mendes wrapped up the scoring for PSG when his effort from the outside the box found the net in the 89th minute. Moving on to tennis, world number 2, Carlos Alcaraz cruised home in a 7-6, 6-1 victory over Daniil Medvedev today to win a second straight Indian Wells ATP title, both coming the Russians' expense. Alcaraz captured his first title since Wimbledon last July and became the first repeat winner at Indian Wells since Novak Djokovic won 3 straight titles from 2014 to 2016. With renewed confidence to the next week's hard-court tournament in Miami and beyond. World number 4 Medvedev, who was hindered by an ankle injury in their 2023 title clash. In the women's singles, world number 1 Iga Swiatek powered past Greece Maria Sakkari 6-4, 6-love to claim her second Indian Wells WTA title 2 years after she beat Sakkari for her first. The rematch of the 2022 championship showdown produced an almost identical outcome as 4-time Grand Slam champion Swiatek dominated the second set to seize her 19th career title and the second of 2024. Sakkari, ranked 9th in the world, battled gamely through the opening set, erasing a break and saving 2 break points in the final game before Swiatek delivered a blistering forehand winner to pocket the set after 44 minutes. It would take just 24 more minutes for the Polish star to wrap things up as she broke Sakkari at love for a 2-love lead and rolled to the finish. Swiatek, who continued his strong comeback from a third round exit at the Australian Open in January, said the 12 days in the California desert were not as easy as her scorelines might suggest. She lost just 21 games and did not drop a set. Swiatek, whose run included a grudge match victory over Linda Noskova, who stunned her in Melbourne, said she improved a lot during the tournament. Since the disappointment in Melbourne, Swiatek has come back strong, winning the title in Doha and reaching the semi-finals at Dubai. She became the 10th woman to win the Indian Wells title twice, joining Serena Williams and Kim Clijsters as the only players to notch 2 titles before turning 23. French President Emmanuel Macron said Russia will be asked to observe a ceasefire in Ukraine during the upcoming Paris Olympics. The International Olympic Committee condemned Russia's all-out invasion of Ukraine in February 2022, saying the Russian government had breached the Olympic truce, which aims to harness the power of sport to promote peace and dialogue. Paris Mayor Anne Hidalgo said that she preferred that the Russian and Belarusians to be absent from the competition. Russian and Belarusian had initially been banned from competing internationally in the wake of the invasion, for which Belarus has been used as a staging ground. Commenting on French President Emmanuel Macron's call for a ceasefire in Ukraine during the Olympic Games, Russian Foreign Ministry spokeswoman Maria Zakharova urged him to stop weapon supplies to Ukraine. Zakharova also said Macron should have proposed the same ceasefire to the sides of the conflict in West Asia.
Kementerian Perdagangan Dalam Negeri dan Kos Sara Hidup KPDN sedang mengadakan program jualan rahmah madani di semua kawasan Parlimen dan Dewan Undangan Negeri. Anda boleh dapatkan barangan keperluan harian pada harga yang berpatutan dan diskaun sehingga 30%. Datuk nak pergi mana ni?
Pastinya ke program Jualan Rahmah Madani. Kepada anda yang ingin mendapatkan maklumat, tarikh dan lokasi penganjuran program Jualan Rahmah Madani di sekitar anda, sila layari portal KPDN. Jangan lepaskan peluang ini. Jom kita nikmati diskaun 10 hingga 30% dalam PJR Madani.
Macam-macam ada. Rahmah itu
berkat.
And that wraps up World Today. In our top story, Vladimir Putin extends his rule in Russia. Tune in to Malaysia Tonight, coming up at 8:30 p.m. on TV1 and saluran Berita RTM. From the river to the sea, Palestine will be free. I'm SAHIH. Thank you for watching.